All right, guys, I'm super psyched. We're sitting right before springtime right now, end of February. Spring bear seasons are right around the corner. Bear hunting is one of my ultimate passions. So I thought it'd be a fantastic time to sit down and talk about e-scouting for spring black bears in the West. There is ample opportunity to hunt, get a bear tag in the West for the springtime, and most of that opportunity is over the counter. So places like Idaho, Arizona, Wyoming, Montana, and Oregon, they all have over-the-counter spring bear hunts. There are some draw hunts here and there, but for the most part, you know that you're going to be able to go to one of these states and buy a bear tag. So that's awesome, especially when it comes to planning out a bear hunt, especially if you're doing something like driving across the country or something like that. So I'm going to kind of walk through my whole process. I'm going to talk about an area I've never ever been before, just like I did in a previous video I did for e-scouting for Coues deer. Never been in this area before. I'm going to kind of go through the whole process of what I look for before I leave for a spring bear hunt. Stuff like, you know, the right topography and the features, and just like some tools that I'm using on onX that I think are absolutely vital to that lend to a successful spring bear hunt. So before I really dive into the computer thing, I wanna cover some things. So bear with me here. No pun intended, maybe. But okay, so with bear hunting, whether you're doing it in the springtime or the fall, bear hunting, successful bear hunting and consistently successful bear hunting is all about finding the right food source. Okay, so in the springtime, the preferred food source it's really just all about the greens, man. They're all about grass. The fresh green up, they're eating flowers, leaves, they're busting down, like in Arizona, they bust down yucca stalks, yucca shoots and eat that. So you absolutely have to have the food source. And the hard part about all this is you can't really set your watch to the food, because some years, you know, maybe there's more snowpack than others, so the growth of the food is a little bit behind. So you can't be like, no, on April 15th this canyon is going to be lit up with bright green grass. You can't really do that. It really depends on the weather. So and that's one of the hard things about bear hunting. But the formula for success in all of these states that I mentioned, it's relatively the same. It is find the food, be in the right country, water, cover, like, and you put all that together and mix it up right, and you're gonna have a recipe for success for black bear hunting. So make sure you got the food. If you don't have the food, you are literally, like quite literally, shooting in the dark, tipsy and blindfolded. Another thing before I go further is this whole video is going to be really geared towards spot and stalk hunting for black bears, because I believe that is the most accessible type of spring bear hunting. That's no dig on the other methods like baiting and dogs. I think that's awesome, but not everybody has the time to do the bait thing, and not everybody has the time or access to dogs. So spot and stalk hunting, like, anyone can do that. Plus that is what I love to do. So this whole thing is going to be kind of geared towards spot and stalk bear hunting. So the first thing we need to figure out here is what state we want to go bear hunting in, right? Out of all the states that I mentioned, all of them offer great opportunity to get out there and spring bear hunt. The variable is going to be the season length, and this really is going to be dependent on like what works for you the best. Okay, so Arizona, for instance, our spring bear season over the counter, it only goes from like end of March to end of April, maybe first few days of May. That's it. Whereas somewhere like Idaho goes April 1st clear into June and even in July, into July in some units. So depending on when you have the time to go bear hunting, do your research ahead of time. You know, pick the state that you're willing to drive to. If you're driving, like maybe you don't want to drive all the way to Oregon, that's totally fine. Like pick the state that's going to work best for your travel logistics, like when you can get out, how much time you're willing to devote to traveling, and just go from there. You really can't go wrong with any of these states. They all offer great bear hunting opportunity. Once we have a few states in mind, or one state that we want to go bear hunting in, we need to break that down even further and pick a unit or a set of units that we want to go bear hunting in that kind of fit with our travel and cater to what we are looking for, what type of country we're looking for a successful bear hunt. Okay, in the beginning, when you are first starting this out, there is no shame at all in doing a quick Google search on something like best bear hunting units in Montana. Like, you can do that and you're gonna find starting points to kind of run with. You can also, I think a good practice is go look at harvest statistics on bear units. Areas that have a lot of bears being killed in them, obviously there's a lot of bears in those units. There also might be a lot of people though, so keep that in mind. Areas that don't have a lot of bears being killed, obviously there's probably not a lot of bears there. All right, so keep that in mind, run with that. You know, you can do your research on the back end and try to figure out like the best units to check out, and also, you know, where you're willing to travel. You know, if the best bear unit in the state is all the way on the other side of the state and you don't want to travel that far, that's totally fine, but just figure that out ahead of time. And the other thing to consider here when you're looking at these units is like what type of experience are you looking for? Like, what type of bear hunt experience are you looking for, right? Like, if you're looking to you want to set up a truck camp and maybe you want to hike down logging roads and look for sign and stuff, and maybe get across a canyon and glass some of these logging roads. Logging roads are great, by the way. This fresh grass grows on them. They're easy travel routes for black bears. It's a good opportunity to find a bear. But maybe you want to do some big backcountry hunt, right? So if you want to do some big backcountry hunt, then you need to have, you know, like big wilderness areas or big tracts of public land with no roads going through them. That's going to offer you the experience that you are looking for. So make sure you have your hunt unit layer on, as well as your roads and trails layer, and your wilderness area layer on your onX map, so you can see all of this stuff from above and be like, you know, if you're looking for a backpack hunt, oh, this area has a ton of roads going through it. That's not for me. So you got to do this ahead of time, like while you're planning out your hunt, to make sure you get what you're looking for. All right, I promise we're gonna get into the mapping here soon. There's some other key things though that I need to cover. These are things that I'm looking for to narrow a unit down even more, that are going to help show areas of interest to me that I want to go bear hunting in. Okay, there's 4 main things that I am really focusing on, and that is elevation, steep main drainages, okay, broken country, and water. All right, those 4 things right there, those are things that are constantly on my radar when I'm trying to e-scout an area for spring black bears. Okay, so elevation, the reason why elevation is so key, so make sure you have your topo layer on, or your hybrid, so you can see the topo lines and the and the elevation numbers. The reason why that is so key is because most of these states, with the exception of Arizona doesn't really deal with this too much, they're going to have a snow line. Okay, Arizona has some of that going on in certain areas, but not a ton. But places like Montana and Idaho, and it's you know, that you're going to have a snow line there. Okay, so depending on what time of the spring you're able to go bear hunting, that is going to dictate what elevation that you need to try to be focusing on, okay? Because the bears are going to be below the snow line. They're not going to be above it, all right? So a little scenario, like if you only have the early spring to go bear hunting, like say you're like, oh, I need to go on April 15th. That's when I'm able to go, like the week of April 15th. Okay. Well, you better not be looking at 8,000 feet, because the bears ain't going to be there. They're just not. Arizona, maybe. I've seen bears up at 7,000 feet first part of April in Arizona. Okay, so the mountain states, though, no, they're not. They're not going to be there. You need to focus on lower elevation. All right, so if I really had to break this down into numbers, okay. If you're looking to plan an early spring bear hunt in one of these mountain states, I would be focusing between 3,000 to 5,000 feet. And if you're going to go later, say like June, July, I'd be looking at 5,000 to even 9,000 feet in that area. I've seen bears at 9,000 feet in June and July. So just keep that stuff in mind, man. And so the reason why the bears are going to be below that snow line is because below the snow line is where the feed is. It all comes back to the food. Everything comes back to the food with the bears. They are owned by their stomachs, okay? A few hundred yards below that snow line is going to be the green grass, all right? So big swings in elevation are great too. So you got like like maybe like a big long face, okay, with maybe it's 3,000 feet difference from the top to the bottom, 2,000 feet, whatever. The reason why that's cool is because where the snow line is, the bear's going to be below that. The bottom of that hill is going to green up before the top does, right? That's common sense because there's snow there. So the bears are going to be at the bottom with the green up. The snow is going to melt, and the bears are going to follow it up the mountain, okay? The bears follow the grass. Keep that in mind when you're planning this stuff out. You don't want to be planning to go into an area that is just going to be completely void of black bears. We all want to have a successful hunt out here, so elevation is absolutely key in doing that. And those big long faces like that, you're going to get more opportunity to see those bears kind of working their way up following that snow line. Faces that aren't that big of a swing in elevation, the snow is gonna melt quicker. Basically, I should say the snow is gonna all the snow on that face is gonna get to the top faster because it has less elevation to climb to melt. Okay, which means that the bear is not going to be on that face for that long. So keep that in mind. Big long faces with a snow line, those bears are going to be on that face for a longer period of time because there's going to be more green up as they go up throughout the season. Which is a great transition into the next thing that I'm really looking for, and that is steep main drainages. Bears love canyons. Okay, canyons are absolutely a non-negotiable thing for me. There has to be a canyon system. Canyons offer bears security, especially steep ones. They're rugged. Very few people are going down in there. And a bear can live a quiet life in there, a nice peaceful life. Oftentimes in the bottoms of these steep drainages, there's water running too, which water is the other thing that we brought up earlier. Another key thing that I'm looking for, there has to be water. And to get even more specific here, the types of canyons that I'm looking for, okay, are east-west running canyons. All right. The reason for that is because one side is a south face and the other side is a north face. And it's even better if it's within if there's a basin. Okay, so like you got like an east-west running canyon main drainage, but then there's a basin at the head of it. That's awesome because it offers a bear an easy travel route to get around to the other side. Okay, same thing with another one is north-south running canyons with a basin at the head. Okay, a north-south running canyon with a basin at the head of that basin is a south face. South faces are going to green up faster than north faces because south faces receive more sunlight. All right, they're generally more open. Okay, so grass is going to pop there first. The north faces are going to be more dark, cold, and dreary, okay, and have snow on them. That does not mean Don't get hung up on the south face thing, okay? This does not mean that the bears aren't going to be on the north face. This is going to be highly dependent on the weather, okay? If the snow starts melting early and the grass burns up on the south face before you even get there in mid-April or, you know, in the early season, check the north face, okay? There might be snow there still, but the bottom, man, the bottom might be a complete salad bar down there and just be lush green. That happened to me a couple years ago. I was focusing on all these beautiful looking south faces, but there was no bears there. It's because they were off the backside below the snow line, okay, on the north face. So the east-west running canyon, south face, green up is going to happen first. Bears will be on them south faces, okay? And then the north face, it gives a bear an area to lay down too. The north faces are going to be more dense in timber. So this is the next thing I'm looking for is broken country, okay? And what I mean by broken country, I'm talking about areas that are a mixture of like dense brush and timber with openings in them. So parks, meadows, whatever you want to call them. These are areas that are open where grass is going to be growing, where bears can venture out from their where they're bedding in these dense vegetation areas. They can come out, have quick access to food, okay, and then retreat in for another hour, lay down, come out, eat. That's kind of what bears do in the springtime. They'll bed down, feed, bed down, feed, bed down, feed, with the exception of the rut. Boars are, in June, are cruising all over the place looking for sows. But that's really what you want for bear country. Bears want an area to disappear, to lay down, but they also want quick access to food. Bears are owned by their stomachs, okay? This all comes back to the feed. All right, so burns are great for this. Burns are fantastic for broken country, and they offer a lot of open areas for fresh green grass to grow. We're gonna, just so you know, we're gonna get in on the mapping stuff. We're gonna get into a lot of features within onX that is gonna bring everything that I'm talking about to light, okay? You're gonna be able to see all of this. All right, so for the purpose of this video, I'm not trying to totally give out free areas here. So I picked Unit 22 in Idaho because it's super hard to draw for black bears. I got a bunch of messages after I did the e-scouting for Coues deer video. People were like, "Oh, I killed 3 bucks right where you had your pin. I killed a buck over here where you were showing," and blah blah blah. So not totally trying to give out free areas. My goal with this is to really give you guys the tools to pick out features that are going to provide black bears for you, okay? So you hopefully have a more successful, more productive hunt, okay? So now we're gonna dive into the mapping. All right, guys, so right here is Unit 22 in Idaho, all right? So I've got hybrid mode turned on so I can see the elevation numbers and contour lines once I zoom in, okay? So I've pre-marked a couple access points right here, and I'll tell you why. So we're looking at Unit 22 in Idaho for spring bear, but to be more specific, I'm going to try to plan this for an early spring bear hunt, all right? So looking at April, all right, early spring bear hunt, which means that a lot of the high country, that higher country is going to be snowed out, and I'm not going to be able to have access to that. So access points are absolutely key in the early season. So for me, what I like to do for that is I really like to focus on lower elevation access points, because the lower elevation is not going to be snowed out. Idaho for me is a long drive, so I want to know for damn sure that I'm going to be able to get my truck to a trailhead or wherever, so I know I'm going to be able to head in and hunt. So here's a couple access points that I marked. Let's zoom in here. I'll show you why I marked those access points. All right, here they are right here. This is a main road right here, Hell's Canyon Road. So Here's one of the access points. So one of the reasons I picked it is because look at the elevation, 1,800 feet right here. And if you zoom in, you can see this is a main road right here. It's paved. All right. I know that I'm going to be able to get to these access points that I've marked because of the low elevation and the fact that it's paved. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind, man, when you're planning these bear hunts out in the early spring. You need to have backup plans on backup plans in order to make sure you plan a successful hunt. You can see that road goes all along. This is the Snake River right here. It goes all along the Snake River, all along. Okay, so I know I'm going to be able to get there. All right. Let me go back up to my access points that I had marked here. All right. So there's a couple access points I had marked. And if you've been tracking throughout this video, you'll already understand why I marked these access points. But for the sake of getting more into this, I'm going to show you a cool tool in here that's going to help break down what we were talking about earlier. So there's see this button right here? It says Launch Terrain X. If you're an Elite Onyx member, you have access to this. All right, so we're going to click that Launch Terrain X. Now things look quite a bit different. All right, here's our access points. And you'll notice that a lot of this is gray and then this is green right here. It's visible. Okay. So over here on the left, you've got, you'll see slope angle, slope aspect, and elevation band. This right here, all this stuff is going to really help you narrow down areas of interest. All right. So remember I was saying earlier about, oh yeah, if you're going early, you want to be focusing between 3,000 to 5,000 feet. Okay, well, I'm going to come right here. I'm going to drop this lower guy here down to 3,000. See everything coming into view? Put that to 3,000 feet and put our cap at 5,000 feet. There we go. Now there's quite a bit more country that's opened up for us, right? So if you go above that to slope aspect, this area here between these two lines is what this is highlighting. Okay, everything else is gray. That's why this is gray, this is gray, this is gray in here. Okay, it's highlighting basically north facing slopes. Okay, so which is great because highlighting a north facing slope means that it's also highlighting the east-west running canyons, right? North face, here's a bottom, okay? Here's a south face, right? So this is highlighting so far what I want it to show, all right? And so if you want to flip this around, if you want to, oh, I want to see all the south facing slopes, you would just grab this here, come around, set that right there, come this way. Now it's showing all the south facing slopes, which is great. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to show you the difference I was talking about earlier. See the south face, how it's just much more open, okay, as opposed to the north face, right? That is much more dense in timber and brush. This is what I'm talking about when I'm telling you about like the south face greening up before the north face, and how the south face could potentially burn off before your hunt. So you need to pay attention to that stuff. All right. So these are going to green up first because they get the most sun exposure. All right. So we'll zoom back out here. So we've got quite a bit of this stuff to look at right close to our low access points here that we know we're going to be able to get to. All right, so look at all that. got a lot of country, and everything is way bigger than you think it is also. So we have you know, elevation that we're looking at, the right elevation. We have the right faces that we're looking at. We know we're looking at east-west running canyons. Okay, so let's just mark a few quick waypoints here. We'll go right here, click on waypoint, and we'll put a waypoint here. Okay, save. We got a waypoint there. We'll do it again. Put another one right here. All right, so we got a couple areas of interest right here that are kind of right east of our waypoints. We know that the country just east of our waypoints is of interest to us. All right, so we're back in our main map here. We got a couple areas of interest. We got access points. Our elevation is correct. You can see there's obviously perennial water here, but this right here looks like there's the potentiality of water running in the bottoms. Okay, right here throughout these bottoms, there's two springs right here, spring here and a spring here. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna zoom in here so you can see. This is a trail right here. You can see it. There's a trail marked. Make sure you got go to your layers right here and make sure this right here is on. For me, and then here's your motorized roads and trails. Make sure that's on too. For me, this hunt I'm planning is a backpack hunt. So I need to know that there's access into this country that I'm going into. So here's one of my access points here. Looks like I can hike down this bottom. Okay. And I can come up this side, switch back up, and get up into here. Okay, and work my way up into this way. And if I get right here, this looks like a great potential camp spot for me. So I'm gonna mark a waypoint right there. Let's move this right here. Mark a waypoint right there, and we'll call that camp. Use the camp icon there. And that right there, that puts me right across from one of the areas that I had marked. Plus, there's two springs right here. Okay, which means that I should, and this right here, it's probably not perennial water. It's not perennial water, but there is the potentiality that there's water running in the bottom here. Okay, but if it's not, I should be able to pop down this trail here, come up around and get to these springs right here for filtering water and stuff. So I'm going to just real quick, I'm going to mark a waypoint there too. Okay. This one I'm guessing is a little more reliable because it's in a cut. All right. We're going to change the color of that. Water, save. Okay. So right from here, I can see across this drainage. All right. So the next thing that I'm looking for is I'm going to start looking for glassing points that I can hunt the country that I want to hunt in. So when I'm picking out glassing spots, what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for areas like little points. Okay, so this right here is a little point right here. You can see the contour lines. Like there's a little point right here, which means that I can see this way. I can kind of see all around me, right? And also another good topographic feature for a glassing point is a cone peak. All right. So if I pop over here, look what's right above this pin right here. There's a little cone peak right here. There's another one here that's way up there. Okay. But there's another one right here, little cone peaks where you can kind of work your way around and kind of see all around. This one looks really good right here. So I'm gonna put a waypoint right there for potential glassing. Right there. That's gonna let me see all around. Okay, and I'm also gonna just put one right at my tent. because that looks like a good glassing area too. So we'll do glassing right there. All right. So far I really showed you the south faces. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to show you, see how these are more open? Right? They're broken too. All right. So, I mean, especially like right around this spring here. Like see right in here. These are great spots for bears to lay down in here. And they can pop out, you know, like this looks really good there. It's kind of close to the trail, but not really sure about how much traffic is on this trail. So this looks really good. See how this like little area right here is next to this? All right. So I'm gonna mark a waypoint right there. Go to more, find feed. Right there. Okay, let's look around here. There's another good looking spot up in here, right there. For all this in here. I'm just doing this as I'm going, man. I'm kind of learning this with you guys. So put that right there, feed. Okay. So we're looking at south facers. Here, I'm going to mark this too. This looks really good. Looking at largely south facers. This right here is more of a north, and as is this one, which we should talk about north faces too and show you guys that. Because from like a glassing point like this or a glassing point like this, I can see these north faces. And if you zoom in on them, good night, they look gorgeous. Okay, look at all this cover. Look at these openings in here. Oh my goodness. Let's put a waypoint right there, feeding. Okay. Let's do another one right here. Look at that, just next to those trees like that. Love that stuff. Plus, I can get around on that stuff too. Like if I'm camped here and there's a bear here, I could just like pop around, boom, boom, or shoot, or just come down. If you're rifle hunting, you can shoot right from here probably, boom, boom. We'll do a little line distance action. This is great. We'll draw a line. I'll do like right from here to here. So that's 458 yards from that point to that point. So you know that somewhere in here, if there's a bear somewhere in here, you can get somewhere on this hill and get within 500 yards of them to get a shot. So I'll save that too. We're just sussing out like what's huntable, right? So we got a good idea what we're looking at here. So I mentioned burns earlier. I'm not sure if there's any burns in this area. I'm not too worried about it, but I am a little bit curious because, I mean, so far this is all looking like real nice country that I'm sure there's going to be black bears in. But just for our knowledge, we're going to go up here to hunt to layers. And we're going to scroll down to tree crops and cover right there. You're going to see a layer here called historic wildfire. All right, let's turn that on. So as you can see, there's no historic wildfires in here, but let me find one and I'm going to show you what it shows you. Check this out right here. So this is in a different unit, but I just want to show you what the type of info you're going to get. So this is blocked off an entire area that was a wildfire, and it happened back in 2012. It was called the Wesley Fire. Let's click on it and see. So 15,824 acres were burned. It started on October 11th, 2012. So just really good information to know. Like, I think a wildfire, in my opinion, needs a couple years before it gets real good with like some real good, a mixture of real good growth and feed. There will be bears. I've seen bears in wildfire areas the year after it's happened, but at the older, like maybe 3 years old, about that, you start really getting some good growth, and it offers even more really good habitat for the bears. So that's a great feature. But let's narrow down in on our area even more here. Okay, so this all looks really good to me. What we're going to do next, I'm going to show you a real cool feature. We've got some glassing points marked here. All right, and we have like a general idea of what we're going to be able to see, but we don't know exactly what we're going to be able to see. So we're going to jump back into Terrain X, and I'm going to show you a really cool feature. All right, so let's launch Terrain X. Come over here. All right, here is our country, and it looks like it reset on us. So let's reset this stuff. To what we want. All right. I'll show the south faces. It's fine. All right. So here's a glassing point. Here's a glassing point right here. Okay. So this is pretty cool. You're going to go up here to View Shed. Click on that. All right. Now, as you can see, there's like this bullseye looking guy on there. And as I move this around, things become lighter and darker. Right? So what this is doing is it's showing you what is visible from a given point. All right. So for instance, let's zoom in here. I'm going to put this right on this glassing point that I marked. And I'm going to double right click it. All right. Let's zoom out. Everything that's lit up in here, everything around, right here, right here, right here, all this, I am going to be able to see from that point right there. Okay? And it even gives you a distance. So I know that like to these waypoints over here, that's 1 mile from that glassing spot right there. Okay, just good intel. Over here is 2 miles. All right, you can see all this in here. All right, really cool feature, man, to really let you know exactly what you're walking into before you get there. Okay, from this point, I know that I'm going to be able to glass all of this right in here. I'm going to be able to see this. That is some really good stuff right there, man, because that's always kind of a crapshoot when you're going to a glassing spot. It may look good topographically on a map, but you really don't know until you get there. And this feature right here just really helps you narrow things down even more. So let's go. We'll move it over here. Show you guys again. Double right click that. So I know I'm going to be able to see all of this in here. Like this is just juicy intel, man. I know I'm going to be able to see all this from right there. This little strip, which is probably great. This little bump right here. Ooh, look at that. See that. Nice little thick area right there. Look at that. That'd be a great spot for a bear to live. Right in there. Come out, feed. Yum, 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 yum. So just really cool features, man. The e-scout, the more you can do ahead of time with e-scouting, I feel like the better prepared you're going to be. And this just really helps make a difference, So Terrain X, man, pretty freaking cool. So we've got these glassing spots marked here. Another thing that I really like to do, and you can do this in Terrain X as well, like simultaneously. But I'm just going to do it here because this is my video. So zoom in to a glassing spot, come down here, click this, and click on 3D. All right, now you can really get a sense for how this country is laid out. So on your computer, if you hold down Control and then drag, you can kind of twist the country around for you, zoom in. Look at that view, man. That is unbelievable. So right from this point, you know you're going to be able to see like this cut here, this cut. This looks incredible right here. Gosh. And if you zoom out, I know that if I pop up this ridge here, like right here, that's another great glassing spot right there. Look at that right there. That'll give me, I can be able to probably see this. I'm going to mark another waypoint right there. Like I said, I'm doing this as we're going. Never been here before, so learning with you guys. Mark that glassing spot. Save. Okay. Be able to see all of that stuff in there, man. And if I twist it around, let's twist it around. Let's get all twisty. Right. And we look this way. Look what I'll be able to see from this point here. Look at that. So this is a better looking glassing spot for this area. So I'm gonna mark this right here. Right there. Just put it right here. Oh. Glassing. Save. Okay, good. And see that right there? That puts me right in that line that we marked earlier. So this right here is all in rifle range right in here. Really cool, man. Just really helps like knowing what you're kind of walking into. Trying to do as much work ahead of time as possible so you're as prepared as can be. And this is just like a really cool part in the process. So I'm gonna pop back into 2D here, and I'm gonna show you. You can also do this in Terrain X, so you can really see the visibility thing. So we'll zoom in on this point here. Hold Control, drag that. Now you can really see. See? Zoom in. You won't be able to see this, but you can see this, all of this. Can't see this from right here. If you come here, you probably can. Let's see. Go forward a little bit. No. Okay, that's fine. So that's good intel right there. Very good intel. So I can even see the back of this. Look at that. I mean, that's a poke away, 4 miles away from this point. But I know from right here, I'm going to be able to see this right here, but not this. Okay. Really good intel, man. So get back into the main map here. All right, guys, so that's going to do it. I feel super confident in this area. It's checking all of my boxes for a successful early season backcountry spring bear hunt. I feel like I could walk into this area, I could find bears, I could have a good hunt, and have a really good idea of what I'm walking into before I get there, which is what this is all about, right? Like, sound e-scouting is really about putting together a calculated guess on what you're walking into. All of us want to have a good hunt, so the more like calculated work we could do before that to land us in these areas, the better experience we're going to have. And as you go through this process, no matter like what you're e-scouting for, while you're out in the field, pay attention to this stuff, man. Like, pay attention to, oh, you know what, like, it turns out during this time of year, I always see most of the bears on north faces. Log that, man. Pay attention to that stuff, because that's going to help you replicate that for other areas. Okay? You're going to be able to take stuff that you learn on one hunt and be like, you know what, I'm going to apply that to this other hunt, and you just keep building upon your overall bear knowledge, or just like hunting knowledge in general. You do the same thing with deer and elk too, okay? Just like pay attention to the features that they like during certain parts of the year, what food they're keying in on during certain parts of the year, and you're going to have more and more successful hunts, okay? So honestly, my last piece of advice for this is stay in it. Like having a plan is one thing, having a bunch of data, that's one thing, but pure grit is another. Bear hunting is tough. They live in some unrelenting country, and if they don't want to be seen, they're not going to be seen. There's been times I've gone 5 days without seeing a bear, but then on the 6th day, maybe I see 5 of them. It could go from 0 to 60 real quick. So stay in it, stay positive, and you're gonna have a good hunt. If you like the video, please hit thumbs up. You like the channel, please hit subscribe. And until next time, stay safe out there.